Good morning, everybody. This is YP, and welcome to my Icon Corner. We're going to try this again. Last week, we had scheduled Nick Hinton to come on to the show, and we had a little bit of technical difficulties. He was having sketchy internet connection, so somebody was trying to stop someone, it must have been a conspiracy. Somebody was trying to stop us, but we're not going to let them stop us. I just had somebody yesterday call me and they were saying, is this a U-turn or is this a speed bump? I said, it's not a U-turn. This is a speed bump. We're just going to go over it. We're going to go through it. So we got him. We rescheduled and we're set to go here. I've got him and I'm about ready to add Nick to the stage. Remember to hit the like button. Just go and do that now. Right there, you just hit the like button, reach out and click. Doesn't cost you anything. Subscribe to the stream, hit the notification bell, and with that, we'll add Nick to the stage. Welcome, Nick. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Nick told me that he is a morning person, so we scheduled him in the morning. I am not a morning person. I normally consider myself more of an evening person. So hopefully you can carry the show. I think you'll be able to do that.
Okay, I'll try my best.
I have had a couple cups of coffee, and I put on a nicotine patch because I'm trying to give in a little, I'm trying to lay the pipe down. I smoke a tobacco pipe, and I'm trying to give it a break now just to see how that goes.
Yeah, good luck. I mean, I love nicotine. I love smoking. I'm smoking a cigarette right now as we speak and drinking some Celsius.
Okay.
That's how
Celsius. Yeah, that's the strong stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so now I've been following you only for a little. I'll be honest, I only started following you on X for a little while, ago. I don't remember, maybe a month ago or something. And I found out that you were, joining the church. Mm-hmm. So as I do, I just followed you. And so I understand that you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yes, a recovering conspiracy theorist.
Recovering.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's the topic. Okay. Today we've chosen the topic is the conspiracy worldview. And we're going to find out from Nick what's wrong with the conspiracy worldview. Interestingly, Nick has a theory. He has a conspiracy theory that conspiracy theories are a conspiracy. So I'm not against necessarily conspiracies. Obviously, they're out there, and but they can maybe, from what I understand, is that you think that they can become a distraction. Is that right?
Yeah, and yeah, so I mean, ultimately, what we're supposed to do as Orthodox Christians is not have any thoughts at all, right? I mean, I know that's like pretty far out on the path.
Not have any thoughts at all. You mean not thinking, or
yeah, like illumination, like
that sounds like Buddhism to me.
Well, I know some people don't like him, but I love Father John Romanides, and he talks about how if we want to actually purify our hearts, then we have to do the unceasing prayer, the noetic prayer, which ultimately results in the crucifixion of the intellect. And so we don't become really smart, intellectual, cool guys. We just become simple, humble, regular Christians, and we're not super wrapped up in all of the darkness of the world, like Saint Nicodemus said.
Yes.
Treat all of the worldly news and the news about the changing of the kingdoms and this and that as if it didn't exist at all, because all these things take our minds off of heavenly things and rejoicing and otherworldly joy.
So if he's saying we need to be praying with the intellect, is prayer necessarily not having to, or would prayer count? Well, I guess I was thinking that, if you're praying, then you're having, I don't know if that's a thought.
Well,
or
it's the one thought. We can have one undiluted thought, which is the name
okay,
of Christ. And that's the
okay,
unceasing prayers. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have
the
mercy on
one,
me.
yes, okay, now that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, yeah. Everything
Um,
else is a delusion or a semi-illusion, according to Saint Nikolai Velimirovich. That's my patron.
okay, oh, okay, gotcha.
So getting
Um,
wrapped up in all of the illusory stuff is dangerous. I mean, I don't think that there's not one true conspiracy. Like there's some that are definitely true, but it seems to me that it's going mainstream as a part of this like false illumination, this false enlightenment, like
yes,
pulling people down the rabbit hole to reach this intellectual kind of enlightenment rather
yeah,
than of the heart.
and conspiracies have gone mainstream, definitely. Like you think you, if you believe in a conspiracy, maybe you used to be part of this small people, you know, this small Gnostic group that was in the know and you know what's really going on. But now, conspiracies, I saw a statistic that between 50 and 85% of Americans believe in conspiracy theories. So it's not really, you know, it's not really fringe anymore. It's not some, you know, you're not part of some small group or anything like that. Maybe it's like too many people are into this. But I thought it was interesting that you said darkness, like this dark, like it's like getting this fascination with this. Actually, first I want to address this super chat I got. It's because it's so I got a generous super chat here. Tim Miller sends $100. He says, praise this ministry. I request beard oil samples and consider olive wood church warden pipes from Jerusalem. Okay, you got it, man. Tim Miller, he has been supporting this channel more than anybody else. I will give him, if you send me your address, I will send you a sample of beard oil. You got it. It's yours, brother. Okay, so this is actually a good question. Coming back to what I was saying, you mentioned this darkness, like looking into these conspiracy theories are kind of dark, okay?
Yeah.
And I've noticed, like on the interweb, you know, a lot of people on Orthodox channels, Orthodox podcasts, very popular shows tend to be, people have this fascination, and I think it's like almost an unhealthy fascination with the occult.
Yeah, it's an adrenaline rush. It's an addiction.
It's like people are coming out of the occult and now they're coming to orthodoxy. So we're supposed to leave that behind, right? But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
somebody like, you know, oh, we're going to expose the occult. We're going to talk about the occult. We're going to talk about our past experiences. Do you think this is an unhealthy fascination that people have, that Orthodox Christians have?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm like one of the most sick with that disease. Like I'll be the first to admit I'm a huge hypocrite. I'm super addicted to exposing all these things. It's too fun. It's too easy too. Like the psyops are becoming more and more obvious. But yeah, this was never, it's not really a surprise to me because when I was in like these chaos magic groups, they were saying like, yeah, part of the plan is to make conspiracies mainstream. Like that was part of the plan always. And the reason for that is they want to break down what they call consensus reality, or like, you know, the shared ideas that we all consider to be objectively real. They want to destroy objective truth and pretty much make the world like schizophrenic because they believe that if they can do this, then they can recreate what truth is and then recreate like the universe in their own image. I mean, this it's super crazy, but yeah, if no one agrees with each other anymore, then pretty much anything goes. And
Okay.
that's what's happening with all these psyops. Is like every time a new tragedy happens, there's like 13 narratives that go along with it. So you can't even talk to anyone about the
Yeah.
conspiracy behind
Yeah.
it because there's 100 different conspiracies behind it.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. You just mentioned there's so much in there to unpack. You mentioned the schizophrenia, this consensus, chaos magic. I want to dig into all this, but I kind of neglected to ask. So you said you were involved with this chaos magic group. So first of all, actually, could you give us I guess I forgot to ask you. Can you give us like a brief rundown of who you are and your background in
Yeah,
case?
yeah.
Because I told my audience to go and watch your interview with Anthony Westgate, but for those, some of them might not have watched it. So could you give us like a little bit of your history for it, please?
Yeah, like the shortest version without naming any names is that back in like 2018, 2017, I was going to school for philosophy just for fun. I started writing these books, or like they started off as essays about conspiracies, right? Because I was learning how to write like a philosophical essay. So I just thought it'd be fun to try and explain some of these conspiracy theories I was looking into in a more coherent way. And so I would post them to Reddit, and then those started going viral. And then when I found out they were going viral on Reddit, I just decided to repost them on my own Twitter, which was literally just friends and family and stuff. And it was mostly full of like song lyrics and stupid jokes. Like I was not trying to do anything with my Twitter, but I posted my Reddit threads on Twitter, and then those went viral. And as my Twitter was going viral, I started getting invited to do all these podcasts and stuff. And I was like, wow, okay, this is crazy. I should take a break from school and just pursue writing full time. And then, yeah, I got dragged into weirder and weirder stuff as I was getting more popular and like being invited to go places and traveling around. And yeah, so I ended up working with this like chaos magic group. They were like teaching me about the philosophy of the Discordians, who are like one of the first groups of people to really popularize conspiracy theories. Like if you look into who published the first books about the JFK assassination and 9/11 and, you know, like those zeitgeist films that everyone kind of watched and woke up to, quote unquote, it all goes back to the Discordians. And it's like, why, you know, at first I thought their philosophy was cool because they believe that the world is run by this false god of order. It's basically Gnosticism. I didn't know at the time. But in order to defeat this god of order, they have to create chaos. And the only way to create chaos is to splinter consensus reality into all these smaller, quote unquote, reality tunnels. Basically, they believe that perception creates reality. And if they can warp the perception of everyone, they can break down reality and then recreate this golden age or something. I don't know what exactly what they believe. But that's about as far as I got before I was like, okay, this is crazy. You know, this sounds demonic. I don't
You were actually, so you said you were doing chaos magic. So were you actually like doing spells, or what do you mean by chaos magic?
Well, they had this app that used quantum random number generators to send people to random locations. And when people would go there, the theory was is that they would break out of their orderly, determined routine and find something synchronistic because they were practicing chaos magic. And it was very strange. And yeah, there was lots of synchronistic things that happened. And I thought that I was on this path to like Gnostic enlightenment.
Sure.
But yeah. And then once I found out that there was weird stuff going on and I got bad feelings, I left, and then I got pulled into more stuff. But sorry.
An interesting thing about that, I'm commenting. I want to let you finish your story, but I think it's interesting that you mentioned these synchronicities, because it's like what you give your attention to, you know, you'll start noticing things. But also, if you're paying attention to God, you know, God also leaves little clues that you can follow. I mean, it's true. He'll give you little nudges, and you know, sometimes that kind of stuff can actually lead just to offer that as a suggestion. Noticing coincidences and things, so-called coincidences, could lead you to God. But
no, I mean, that's in a weird roundabout way. That's what led me to God, was even following the demonic coincidences. I mean, all things are used for the good of those who love God and love the truth. So he must have known that deep down somewhere I was looking sincerely for him. But yeah, so now that I've been in the church for a little bit, I feel like I can tell the difference between like a demonic synchronicity and like a coincidence sent from God. I mean,
sure.
I don't totally trust my own.
Well, you're learning discernment. You know, it takes time, but
yeah. So, but there's definitely, or there has been a feeling where like the things that God have sent feel lighter, and they lead to repentance, or they lead to like something good, rather than like, oh, what is this confusing, mysterious thing? I'm going to go read for 17 hours. Like that is not, yeah, that's not like producing anything like leading to holiness. But yeah, so I was in this group, and then once I left, I was still being invited to more things. They were mentioning my name on big podcasts like Joe Rogan. So I was convinced that I was still changing the world or whatever in my own hubris. And then, yeah, I visited this family who was seeing UFOs, and they were somehow connected to this like chaos magic crap. And I saw the UFOs. I was told that they were angels, and
What did they
something,
look like?
just orbs, just big orbs that would like grow and float around in circles and then shrink and disappear. Basically, that's what I saw. And but that was accompanied by so many more synchronicities, right? Like how I met them, and how, yeah, I'm not going to get into all of that, but yeah, so something about that didn't sit right with me either, because like they had friends in the CIA and the DoD and all these different intelligence groups, and I didn't like that. I didn't know how bad it actually was, because I was just super naive, and I just thought, oh, well, these, if you become like an important person, you're going to be surrounded by important people. I don't know. It's like, it all strokes the ego, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I just kept looking and digging, and I don't know. I eventually arrived at the conclusion that what I saw was like false angels of light, like what the scriptures say. Even though I wasn't deep in the scriptures yet, um, I don't know why I didn't trust them or whatever, but yeah. And then I decided to like drop all that stuff, and then life got really horrible. like like I don't know if I was in pre-lust or not. I mean, that's what synchronicities can be, right? Is pre-lust. Um, like dreams and coincidences and all these signs and omens and wonders like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally pre-lust. God
Right.
can of course use signs and wonders, but so yeah, I started seeing that, like, I thought I saw the Men in Black. I don't know if that was pre-lust. I started getting death threats and all these different things. And so I was convinced that, like, okay, now I must be doing the right thing, but this sucks. I'm going to die. And so I took a break, but I used that break to look for Christ, because the Bible is where I got the idea that, if you're actually pursuing the truth, you'll be persecuted, right? And so like all this bad stuff that was happening convinced me that I must be on the right path. But I desperately needed healing. And so I just spent like the next 3 years like wandering around to different Protestant churches, and they all sucked, right? Like none of it felt real to me, and there was no transformation. And I just thought that I maybe had, like, I don't know, permanently cursed myself. Like I was under the delusion that what I had accidentally got myself involved with was more powerful than Christ, because the Christ that you meet in the Protestant churches is not infinite. He's not big in the Protestant churches, like he feels small.
Hmm.
Because yeah, you can't even talk about any of this stuff around a lot of Protestants. I mean, maybe nowadays you can, but back then no one was having it. They wouldn't listen to me. They thought I was just crazy, and I was crazy. But yeah, so long story short, I eventually discovered Father Seraphim Rose, and he was in his books talking about how aliens are demonic. And I was like, so relieved to find one Christian guy who was talking about this in an intelligent way. But I'd never made the connection that he was like Orthodox. Like I didn't understand, because I had been exposed to like thousands of denominations. It didn't click in my intellect or in my head that like Orthodoxy is different, right? So I just knew Father Seraphim Rose as this Christian guy who wrote about UFOs and used to be a student of Alan Watts. I was like, I like this guy, but nothing about Orthodoxy stood out to me at that point. It wasn't until just like, it was just a miracle that some guy on Twitter was like, hey, I know you're going through a rough time right now, and I want to pick you up and just go on a road trip together. because I kept going on Twitter Spaces, like live, and just like getting drunk and ranting about how my life was destroyed by these demons, and I didn't know what to do because all the churches I went to, like, I just kept begging them. I was like, "Teach me to suffer with joy. Teach me to suffer with joy." And then it'd just be like some 30-year-old guy wearing a backwards hat and be like, "Sorry, bro, don't know what to tell you." I'm like, "What?" Like, this is not Christianity. This is not what I'm reading in the scriptures. So yeah, and anyways, this guy picks me up, and then we just go on this road trip, and we serendipitously, miraculously, whatever, end up at Father Seraphim Rose's monastery. We went all the way from Virginia to California. We just wanted to drive out west, but I somehow remembered that this Christian guy who wrote about UFOs was buried out there. I was like, we should go visit his grave, and then we kind of discovered together that it was an entire monastery, and that was our first Orthodox church service.
Yeah, well, that means I've actually, now that I feel like I have something. I always feel like a kinship with people who were brought who have Seraphim Rose as like part of their spiritual lineage, their genetic, spiritual genetic makeup. Because like when I visited his monastery, when I was still, I don't know if I was a catechumen, I might have been just an inquirer. Yes, I was still an inquirer, and a lady at the church I was attending, it's an Orthodox church, but she invited me to go down to that monastery with her. And so I went to Platina and, saw Father Seraphim. It was all new to me, but when I came home from that trip, that was when I dedicated my life to God.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely feel that Father Seraphim, his prayers, also St. John, was a big part of that.
Yes.
Also reading all of his books. So I kind of like people around here who've had a lot of people who have had similar experiences. I always feel like a kinship with those kind of people,
Yeah, and weren't you telling me the other day that that's not an unusual story that Father Seraphim will like drag vagabonds to his monastery?
I've heard multiple firsthand accounts of people who said that they were backpacking, not, hitchhiking.
Mm-hmm.
Someone picked them up and they ended up at the monastery, and then they ended up becoming Orthodox. One example, one of them became a priest eventually just by getting picked up hitchhiking.
That's so cool.
So it's apparently not it's not an uncommon phenomenon.
Well, yeah, Father Seraphim, I wanted him to be my patron at first, but my spiritual father is like, no, keep looking. Many saints guide us to paradise.
Sure.
And then I thought maybe Nicodemus, because I love him, but he was too like out of reach. That's that's a big saint. And but yeah, eventually I picked Saint Nikolai because the poem "Bless My Enemies." Have you read that poem by Saint Nikolai?
If I have, I forget it.
Yeah, I don't know it by heart either, but he basically just says like, "Bless my enemies, oh Lord, like they have driven me more into your embrace than my friends have."
Okay. Yes.
And I'm just like, holy crap! Like it touched me so deeply. Like I was like, this is like, I understand what he's saying to an extent. He went through a lot bigger tribulations, but the fact that God used demons to basically chase me into his sanctuary.
I think there's another saint who his last words on his deathbed were something like, praise God, especially for the temptations.
Yeah.
There's another super chat from Tim Miller. I'm going to highlight $50. Man, this guy's getting the combo pack, the beard oil and the beard balm. He says, this is part of my tithing. Others consider investing. So, okay. And so you're finding the church. What is this? I see your profile picture. We used it in the thumbnail. What is that beautiful valley you appear to be looking out over?
Oh, that was near Montanica.
Montanica? Did you go to Montanica?
I went, last year and this year.
Oh, how did you like it?
It's okay. I mean, it's a lot of ortho bros, but I mean, I'm pretty much an ortho bro too, so whatever.
I went to it one year, I think maybe 3 years ago, if I'm right. And I don't know. I looked at it was mostly, it was like at the time, Abbott Tree Fund made the observation that it was 90% plus young male converts. Was that the same makeup? Was it still almost all men? Because I saw the pictures and it looked like there was a mix of maybe older men, some women. It wasn't all young men in the pictures that I saw from the recent one.
Yeah, well, this recent one, I'm so stupid. I bought the ticket and then my friends got an Airbnb and I just fell into despair and I stayed home for like the majority of the trip. I just stayed in the Airbnb. So
Oh, okay.
I actually didn't experience it at all this year until the very last day. But yeah, I mean, there's a little bit more women compared to last time. But yeah, I don't know what was going on with me, demonic attacks or me just being an idiot and being prideful. And because I mean, the despair thing is something I've been dealing with ever since coming into the church. Like I'll just fall into horrible depression for like days at a time. But my spiritual father tells me that's because I think about myself too much and not Christ. Anyways, that picture is from the first year that I went to Montana. So that's a valley in Montana somewhere. And the interesting thing about that jacket, though, I love that jacket so much. I left my pea coat at Platina. I left it at the monastery. And I called Father Paisi. And I said, hey, I accidentally left my jacket at the monastery. Can you mail it to me? And then he mailed me the wrong one. And it's a 1950s Pendleton. And so I told him, I was like, hey, you mailed me the wrong jacket, but I like this better, so I'm going to keep it. And he just laughed. He said, okay, maybe blessed. Something like that. And yeah, so I like this jacket.
Nice. Huh. That's cool. Okay, so you started out, you just started writing in a college from a college course. You started writing on Reddit, and then you just posted your threads to X. I have to say, sometimes I like to butter my guests up a little bit, but you definitely have voice. Like you're a good writer. You are. I've seen some of your longer threads, and you just have voice. You have a voice, and
Thank you.
So I don't know. And there's so many things that so many different things that you talk about on X, and I'm not sure. I have to pick one. Why don't we? Let's start with. Okay. Why don't we start with the schizophrenia? Like you had some posts about like something about like they're picking people with schizophrenia on the internet, and like what is that conspiracy about?
Oh, that they're like running these experiments, basically, like these algorithmic experiments. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's what happened to me is that they'll take someone who has like a very open mind that's prone to magical thinking and then kind of like subject them to these games where it's like a treasure hunt or like a puzzle solving adventure, right? And I don't necessarily understand the end goal aside from like teaching AI how the human mind works and how it can do this on a mass scale. So I think what they've done to people on a miniature scale, like the targeted individuals, like they're going to do that to everyone eventually. I mean, I think that the whole country already is being MK Ultra to an extent. And yeah, if they can fracture the mind of everybody, I believe that if you fracture the mind, it actually cracks open the noose prematurely. And if you're not protected by the grace of the church, then you're prone to all this demonic possession, basically, and the false spiritual experiences. So they're trying to offer this like false enlightenment to everyone in preparation for the Antichrist false spirituality. So yeah, it all goes back to Antichrist.
Wow. So how do you come to these conclusions? How do you, I mean, are you reading, where do you do your research? Where do you find all of this information?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I read a bunch of different stuff. But my friend used to make fun of me and call me like the Cliff Notes philosopher. Like I don't I don't read entire books.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll just read about a book and try and figure out what the bigger picture is, because I don't necessarily need to know all the details. I just want to figure out how all these things fit into like I'm just trying to figure out how all these different moving parts fit into the bigger like machine, I guess. You know? And so I'll like study things for a little bit, but yeah, I won't get too deep into like into anything. I don't think yeah, I don't have a good answer. I don't have a good answer for this. I'm sorry.
So you're so this they're targeting individuals online through social media, and so they must be using AI to do this, right? That's what is that what you're saying?
Yeah, AI and algorithms and like different like they have this one thing called the sentient world simulation. This is not a conspiracy. This is a real thing. The DoD and the University of Purdue are working together to create this thing called the sentient world simulation, which is a mirror model of the real world that's updated in real time. And what they do with it is they run simulations and war games and all these different scenarios in the simulation to see what will happen in the future. Like, what are the most probable timelines that would happen if they introduced certain situations, like, for example, COVID, right? Like, they ran a simulation called Event 201 to see how people would react. Now, they have a pretty good idea because they're taking all of our data from X and your frequented locations and your search history and your interest and even the way your eyes move when you watch TikTok to see how a person's brain like they can create an algorithmic avatar of us that behaves almost just like us. And so where the conspiracy part comes in is like maybe what they're trying to do is merge these two beings together, like our real self and our algorithmic self. If they can make our timeline, like our social media feed, trigger us in such a way that we think what they want us to think, then their simulations become more accurate. And so we're not in a simulation like the Gnostics believe, but like we're living through simulated events, and then we're reading about them through the lens of our freaking cell phone, right, in a simulated world. So they're like trying to merge these two realms together and basically create like a hive mind. But the way to escape the hive mind is easy. You just pray.
Right. And maybe touch grass, right?
Yeah, maybe touch grass.
This is scary though. I mean, it sounds like I could see this happening. They're studying us, they're experimenting on us. They are they are stress testing, they're testing their systems on us, and like, you know, I can believe it. Like just this week, okay, to put this in perspective, we just had a high-profile assassination this week, and so what was the guy's name that got shot?
Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk. And then I noticed that the algorithm seems to be, I think they're trying to rile people up.
Oh, for sure.
You know, they could be testing, okay, if we want people to become angry and do something, we can promote this. I mean, this is just all speculation, but you can kind of see it. You could see how it could be going on if you're paying attention to your timeline. You know, we want to rile people up. We want to push people towards civil war, for example, or, you know, something like that. Like they could just be pressing buttons, like turn up the anger. You know, they got a knob. Let's make people a little more angry. Let's show them more, you know, something that kind of hits that, you know, hits that part of your brain, you know. I mean, it's very, I mean, it's very simple. It's not hard to understand, you know.
Well, it's interesting to me because, you know, back in the COVID era, like you couldn't say anything about COVID without people who fully believe that narrative. You know, you couldn't say anything to them without them freaking out. And now it's the same way on the other side. So like the political pendulum is just swinging back and forth. They're radicalizing both sides. And not to be arrogant or like toot my own horn, but this is why I dropped out of the conspiracy realm in 2022, because the thing that was happening, um, like I think part of what was ruining my life is I was writing this book called The New World Disorder. And it was me questioning myself why the algorithm was promoting me back in the day. Why, like I said, I was under the impression that if you're really pursuing the truth, then you'll be persecuted. And I wasn't being persecuted. I was being promoted, and I was living like a easy, fun life. And so I knew I wasn't telling the truth, but I needed to figure out why. So I started looking into the origins of all the conspiracies I was promoting. And basically somehow I came to this conclusion that, yeah, there's going to be like this Nazi right-wing civil war thing where the people that are radicalized to start it are the conspiracy theorists. The people that thought that they were like the good guys, they actually end up becoming the villains. And as I was writing that book, my life just like, fell apart, and I decided not to put it out. I was too scared.
But you have other books out? Is that right?
Well, I have 2 books that are totally Gnostic and stupid.
Are they out there available for people or not?
No, I don't sell them anymore.
Not sell. Means
I mean, if someone is like ardently Gnostic or whatever, and is like, I don't care, because I'll tell them, I'd be like, I don't sell it anymore. Like, I still get messages saying like, can I please have this? I'm like, I don't sell it anymore. I believe in Christ. And they're like, I don't care. I still want it. I'm like, fine. My spiritual father said it's fine. He's like, who cares? It's like, it's just money. Yeah. So I asked him if it was, I feel like, it's just a normal balanced view, I guess. I don't know, but I'm not trying to be overly pious. But yeah, so that book had all these ideas in there of what's happening right now. And yeah, even like we were saying earlier, that there's all these different narratives associated with every new psyop. And so like one of the most interesting ones associated with Charlie Kirk is like the Jews did it, right? Because he's speaking out against the Jews. But the algorithm, in my opinion, seems to be promoting that idea. And even if it was the Jews, I think that it's being revealed on purpose so people will not like the Jews and push them back into Israel, because that is how that's how their prophecies are fulfilled.
Interesting. So it's kind of like Hitler was, he created Israel, basically.
Yeah, he created Israel, and now we are helping them go back there if we're part of this revolution or whatever. And yeah, and then Donald Trump can, I don't know, I kind of think that he'll solve all of this chaos by saying, you know what, I'll run the show. I'll get rid of Netanyahu and blah, blah, blah. And everyone will be like, yeah, thank God.
Well, Israel seems to be like where the center of the action is. Well, the Middle East, like that's like all the lines of power and political, maneuvering in the world is all, it kind of all comes back to Israel,
Yeah.
And I have to be careful how I have to kind of like the thing about this particular conspiracy is that you have to be kind of a little careful. I'm on YouTube. I have to be careful what I say, how I say it, because it seems to me that like there could be censorship. I could get censored for saying the wrong thing.
Of course,
but
yeah.
The thing about it is there must be some truth to that, I think, because there are consequences for talking about it. Whereas you talk about other conspiracies, nothing ever will happen to you. The algorithm, the platforms.
Yeah.
Happy to let you talk about anything else,
Yeah, you can talk about reptilians and it's fine, or you can talk about living in a simulation and it's fine. Those conspiracies don't matter, but yeah, this one seems to matter a lot. I do think there's truth to it. I just think that they're showing us the truth on purpose, and
it does seem to be popular right now.
Yeah, and yeah, so the censorship, I think some of it can actually be reverse psychology, because it actually radicalizes you more when you're like, oh, I'm being censored, da, da, da. But you're not actually censored. People are funneled off into all these different platforms when that happens. Like, oh, meet me on Rumble or meet me on my Telegram and blah, blah. Like, it's still, you're not actually censored, you know? There's still other ways to make money off it.
Well,
You just have
maybe, yeah. I mean, maybe your reach would be a little kind of limited that way, though. But
right, but they're siphoning people off into these different echo chambers
okay,
and radicalizing people there. But that's the whole point in my view, is that it's all about hatred and anger, you know.
sure, yeah,
The answer is super simple. I mean, bless my enemies. That's all it boils down to, is
right.
like,
That is the problem with that particular one. Well, people tend to, if it excites, people tend to have this passion that their heart burns with hatred. And I actually made a YouTube video about this topic. People can go watch it if they want. It's called "Is Christianity Anti-Semitic?" And I mean, the conclusion I came to in the video was there's a little bit of anti-Semitism baked into Christianity. That was my own conclusion, my own opinion.
yeah.
But I immediately followed that by saying, but if you are having hatred, then that's a sin. You're sinning, you know, if you hate someone. So we can't, you know, it's
And you know the Greek word for hate that Christ uses, the original word, doesn't mean like righteous anger or like, you know, violence or anything like that. It means disdain and contempt, like unworthy of our attention. We hate our own lives. We hate the whole world. That doesn't mean we're like, let's destroy it all and self-destruct. Like, no, we think it's like dust. It's irrelevant. We're only supposed to focus on Christ, and that's the only thing that makes someone holy. I mean, yeah. So what were you saying before? I'm sorry.
oh, well, we were
Christianity is somewhat anti-Semitic. Yeah, I agree that the saints have said things about the Jews. Like, of course they did. But like taking one or two lines from one homily,
well, I mean, it's
and
not
then
even
building.
the thing is, it's not just a homily, it's in the services, it's in the scriptures, you know.
But building your entire personality around it, I think, is where it becomes unbalanced.
Right. There's a lot of unbalance when you focus on that particular issue. There's a comment I want to address, or you can address it if you want. I don't fully understand what it's not written in. This guy must be English, might not be his first language. He says, Nick, what you say about you spiritual father. So I'm going to try to translate this to English. Nick, what you say about your spiritual father told you apply heavily to YP. His whole online presence is about himself. He thinks about himself way too much. That's where all his mental is from. I don't know if you don't have to answer this. I'm not sure what do you follow?
I think I understand what he's trying to say.
Saying I'm egotistical, maybe, or something. Is that what he's saying?
I think so, but I don't have an opinion on that.
Well, I am. I don't know. I mean, we don't have.
I mean, I am. I think we're all egotistical. Like,
sure. Yeah. Thank you for pointing out my sins. Okay.
Bless.
This is an interesting question for you, and I want this one to. This is the question. I want you to say something to people, not to the Orthodox audience, but you have maybe someone watching this is someone who's been following you, someone who's into conspiracies, who's part of the conspiracy theory community, which you were an integral part of for some time. And so they may be watching. We may have someone out there watching who's a conspiracy theorist. So I want you to speak to that particular segment, that particular part of the audience in this question. What would you like to say to those people as regards, because some people in the conspiracy theory community, they call themselves truthers, you know, they're about right?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, there's some parallel there. Maybe maybe some of them are actually seeking truth. Maybe some of them aren't. Because if you tell them the truth, they either believe it or they don't. So what I'm trying to get to here is, what would you like to say to the people in the conspiracy community as regards truth, as regards the usefulness of spending your time researching conspiracy theories, and what would you like to tell them about what you have discovered about Christ, the person who is truth?
Well, I would just say that, like, I'm not trying to, like, yeah, I definitely have a tendency to sound like a Pharisee, and I apologize for that. But I'm not trying to, like, preach down at these people. I think I just come across, I haven't figured out a good way to say these things without being like foolishly overzealous, but I'm just really excited. I don't want to like pull these people out of like a religious kind of hell. I want to offer them like healing here and now, because if you're just reading strange doctrines and man-made philosophies and going in circles for your entire life, you're never going to have peace. And like, I just think people would be, I don't know. I don't know what's good for them, but I'd like to believe they'd be better off if they had peace. I thought that's what this whole thing started off as, was a search for the answer that you could be content with and not endlessly looking for more answers. Like, that's what it was for me. I just wanted to have an answer that made sense. And then when I found out it was Christ, I immediately became obsessed with all the theology surrounding that. But then I found out that it's even deeper than that. It's not just theology. It's like, it's just as simple as love. I didn't even really love Christ for Christ at first. I just loved the truth about him, that it made everything make sense. Like, especially if you read Orthodox Survival Guide by Father Seraphim, like, it makes complete sense in that context, that everything that's happening now and all throughout history is centered around the crucifixion. Everything is centered around God. And that's the only way to not have a schizophrenic, fragmented worldview, is to have God at the center. And that's healthy. That's healing, and it brings you peace. But yeah, the the deeper thing about theology is just love. And that, yeah, I don't know how to explain that, but that's what's been like the main thing recently, is that just like talking to the saints and praying to them and wondering at heavenly things. Like, it's infinitely more fascinating than this crap, than the satanic crap, like, why spin your wheels and burn yourself out?
That's a good answer. You're very well said. You mentioned a couple things. You said peace, of course, and that's the goal of a Christian life. Saint Seraphim of Sarov says, acquire a spirit of peace, and 1,000 around you will be saved. You also mentioned Father Seraphim's Orthodox Survival Guide, and if anybody watching would like to read that, it is available online. You can find it. You could probably do a Google search, and there will be a PDF available online. That is a gripping that is a gripping text, and it's very eye-opening and very revealing. So I would highly recommend anybody who wants to look into this, what he's talking about, to go search Orthodox Survival Guide, Father Seraphim Rose, and read it. It's just very interesting. He goes into history. It's worth your time. So thank you for that. I mean, what else can we talk about? Is there anything that you like hadn't had on your mind that you wanted to touch on specifically? I have plenty more questions that I could ask you here.
Yeah, I guess I'll just, like, to wrap up that thought about love is, the other day I was told that St. Anna's Hand was visiting a church nearby, like the mother of God, and I desperately wanted to go. I got the day off of work and everything, and then I asked my spiritual father for the blessing to go, and he's like, "No, I told you you're working all week." And I was like, "Well, I already got the day off. Like, they said it's fine." And he's like, "All right, do whatever you want." And I was like, "Oh, fuck." I was like, and then he hung up, so I couldn't even like talk to him about it. Yeah. So after that, I was just like, dude, F my stupid life. I never get to do what I want anymore. This is crap. I hate working at this wood shop and da 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 da. And I was just complaining, but I decided that I wouldn't go. And then later in the day, he texted me and he's like, "Hey, give me a call if you didn't leave." And so I called him and he's like, "Nico, does this mean you didn't go?" And I said, "No, I didn't go." And he's like, "I'm so happy. Just for that, I'm going to take you tomorrow." And so I got to spend like a lot of time with my spiritual father, and it just turned out so much better because of the blessing of obedience. And but anyways, like the biggest miracle that happened was not anything extraordinary. It was, we visited a monastery after we went to the church and venerated St. Anne. But I found this book by Fyodor Dostoevsky called The Dream of the Ridiculous Man. And the book is all about this guy who just realizes that he's ridiculous and life is ridiculous and everything's stupid and absurd, and he just wants to kill himself. He's in despair. And so he does try to kill himself, but he has this out of body experience where he basically goes to heaven and meets all these people that just like love each other in a simple, childlike way. And he ends up accidentally making like some sarcastic joke or something that corrupts these people and makes them intellectual. And then they start relying on science and going to war with each other and blah, blah, blah. So he feels like Adam almost. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm responsible for the sin of all these people." And he asked them to sacrifice him so he can make up for what he's done. But anyways, he wakes up and he realizes that like the meaning of life can't save us. He's like, you have to love life first and then you'll love the meaning. So like I had the whole thing backwards. I realized that I was studying all of this theology to find the meaning of life, but I didn't actually love life yet. So it didn't matter how many correct things I could read, if that makes sense. But like once you realize it is ridiculous, it is absurd, it is a big mystery, and that should inspire love, right? Like our good God is orchestrating all of these providential things for our salvation, and I don't understand any of it, and that's amazing. And I love that. And so I don't know, that inspired like me to focus more on like the first commandment, you know?
Sure.
That's what I mean by love. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll just answer the other questions, but that's all I have to say about that. Is like that trip really changed something, and I just want everyone to be able to experience something like that. Like you can't just sit online and read about Orthodoxy. You have to go experience it.
Absolutely. So you heard Nick, guys. Just go experience it. And what you do is you just look up the nearest Orthodox church to you, and you go to the website, and you go to Google and you say Orthodox Church near me. You go to their website. You go to find the schedule. Sunday, look for the Sunday schedule. What time does liturgy start? Contact the priest. Say, I would like to visit. Send him an email and show up. It's easy as that.
Yep, it's easy. His yoke is light. Just repent and be normal.
Absolutely. Well, we could go on and talk about all the conspiracies out there, but I don't want to drag you back into that. I don't. I mean, I could, and I kind of want to, but I think I'm going to try to keep this one to an hour, and we're getting up close to an hour. I mean, if anybody in the audience has a question, they can drop it in the chat. But is there anything else that you wanted to cover before we kind of wrap it up?
Well, I guess another important point of that book was that everyone has a spark of good left in them. They just don't remember, because they haven't been treated good in a long time. And yeah, this conspiracy crap is making everyone into a scapegoat when really it's just the demons. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. And so everyone has the potential to become childlike and loving again, but they have to be loved. Like that was the biggest thing my spiritual father did for me, is that he just loved me the right way. I mean, I guess I never had experience just like, because I mean, I was drinking all the time to cope with all the demonic and conspiracy crap when I first came into the church. And I was like relapsing and stuff. And he would just be like, it's nothing. It's fine. Just get up. And I just expected him to be so upset with me, but he never was. And it was him loving me that way that made me be like, I don't know, inspired me to do better, I guess. Like, like someone's not giving up on me. I have to keep going. And so Christ will never give up on us. And it's just better. It's just better this way. I mean, there's nothing out there. I don't know what else you want,
Right.
like you're not going to figure it out.
It sounds to me like you have an illumined spiritual father, and so you should value him highly because those kind of priests are rare and hard to find.
Yeah, no, I'm super lucky, and yeah, I think God guided me to like the only place where someone as sick as me could heal, honestly. But I'll answer one conspiracy. If you have a main conspiracy question, I'll do it. I don't
Oh
care.
boy. Okay. Okay. So maybe about 10 years ago, my little brother was visiting for Christmas or something like that. And he dropped a whopper on me. He was living in like the Bay Area, like Berkeley, kind of running in circles in the Berkeley circles. And he said, "The world is a simulation." I said, "What?" He said, "What?" He says, "It's a simulation like a computer." And I said, "Were you high when you thought of that?" Because I had never heard that before. And honestly, to this day, I have never understood this simulation theory. It has never really entered my mind that there would ever be any truth to this. Because I don't know. What is that all about? What is this? Do people actually think this is real?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people out there who really believe it's a matrix. I mean, Elon Musk is promoting this theory. But it's just
That's what he said. That's probably where it comes from, huh?
well, yeah, and it's just there's nothing new under the sun. It's just Gnosticism rebranded for nerds, basically.
Maybe he's building the Matrix. Maybe he
That's what I was talking about is the sentient world simulation, this mirror model of reality that they're trying to link us up with through our online personas. Things seem to be simulated. They seem that way, but that's by design. It's not actually a simulation, but if you're in the simulated world all day, like, yeah, you're probably going to be convinced that you're in a fake reality because most of the crap you read on there is half fake, half real.
So that means we're not even in a real world. You're just like part of a computer simulation that someone else outside of the world is running. Is that how it works?
I think these people believe that there's like really advanced aliens who created a really advanced simulation and now we live in it. And yeah, I mean, it's just like
together, I guess, with like the AI and because you talked about AI too, the demonic realm. Are we talking to demons here with AI?
I think so, yeah. And I think that even that is becoming obvious because they want the Gnostic worldview to look true. And so I don't think that this is the final deception, like all of this technocracy crap, the transhumanist crap. I don't think it's the final deception. I think that the real Antichrist will look like Lucifer and not Satan. He'll be some guy who reveals the truth, but an intellectual truth, right? And so that's where the whole truther movement and the conspiracy stuff comes into play because it's offering salvation through knowledge, forbidden knowledge, right? If you just figure it out, you can escape all of this. But no, the way out is through. We have to suffer through it.
Okay, we have a question from the audience, and Jeffrey Daniel Linton says, "Ask Nick about MK Ultra sleeper cells, please."
It's a really vague question, but I mean they're real. I think. I mean,
So like they could be maybe this guy, I guess that's like they're that means what this is about for people who wouldn't understand is there's some person out there that is being groomed to commit a violent act on the internet without even any actual, human to human person contact or anything, maybe just through the internet, or how would that work?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely happening on like Telegram and Discord and 4chan and all those strange sites. But like I was saying earlier, like I think that if the psyche is fractured through traumatic information, it's like a form of satanic ritual abuse, right? But they don't actually have to like abuse you or anything. They can just use traumatic, dark information to crack open your psyche and make a entrance into the noose and demonically oppress or possess a person or give them an alter ego or whatever. Because MK Ultra started off as a, like, they were studying black magic, they're studying satanic ritual abuse, they were studying like how to possess a person and create a super soldier with a demon. So that's, yeah, that's happening, and it's
Hmm.
happening on a mass scale now because your Black Mirror cell phone, your little Saturnian cube that you hold in your hand constantly, is bombarding us with satanic information that is traumatizing us and, yeah, hurting our noose. The Holy Fathers call this spiritual assault when you see an image that you never were intending to see, if it just is forced upon you. So yeah, we're being spiritually assaulted by the internet for sure.
Like when I first started kind of, the internet is what, I mean, exposed me to conspiracy theories. And I remember like when I first started like going into these like you said, dark corners of the internet, I was like, should I really be doing this? Should I really be reading this? And then you kind of, so like normies, as they say, like they haven't really taken that leap of faith yet and like said, okay, I'm gonna just go all in on this conspiracy stuff. There's sort of like this hesitation that people have about leaving the what is it leaving the what is the term, leaving the plantation, they say, right?
Or leaving consensus reality and going to the fringes.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like you're kind of going out into somewhere that's not like a not safe realm. But I mean, reading about like the big one that did it for me was like the moon landing. The more I started reading about this, I was like, wow, they lied to me in second grade about this moon landing. And like, if they lied about this, what else are they lying about? It just kind of like I was like blown away by that. That
Are
was
we
like,
it's not that surprising though. I mean, we're told that this world is run by the liar. Like
mm,
modernism, all of it is a facade. It's a total lie. It was meant to create atheists and scientists, and then, but now that people are seeing through the veil of modernism, they're looking for something spiritual, and they're being offered a false spirituality in the form of, hey, come into the rabbit hole. But the rabbit hole is, I think, a clever rebranding of like the ancient initiation, like to go into the underworld, right? And find the forbidden knowledge down there. I mean, it's not just in the Bible. Like all the pagans, they believe that if you want to become illuminated in the pagan way, you go into the underworld and you like meet the gods down there or whatever. And you have to go through this uh, terrifying journey. And so that's what people are doing in a watered down way, is going through this weird psychological labyrinth in the internet and finding the lost knowledge. And I think it's initiating people into their language of symbolism. Um, yeah, so we're basically being initiated into their occult language, because I don't think this is the final thing. I think that the okay, so what were um what were the Nazis doing? They're doing spiritual eugenics, right? I think COVID and all these conspiracies that they made obvious to us, they're like, hey, 33 people died this day, blah, 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 blah. Like everyone knew that COVID was fake because they put it out there. They put their symbols in the news for the people that were supposedly enlightened to see. And so only the enlightened are going to survive the aftermath of COVID, right?
mm.
I'm talking about fake enlightenment here, the intellectual enlightenment. So I think what they're doing is they're doing another spiritual eugenics thing. They're killing off the people they perceive as dumb, because these people believe that only people with high IQ have the potential to be spiritual. Something about spiritual eugenics, whatever. So they're killing off the normies. Why do that? Because the smart people are the only people that would actually think to overthrow the system, right? So why kill the people that are not even thinking about it, and why keep the smart people? I think it's because they want to create like an illuminated society,
Is it
but an occult illuminated society, right? Like that's
is it the smart people? Because like, like for example, my father is a very intelligent person and high IQ, doctor, but he fell for the COVID despite being intelligent. So is it really the smart people that they're getting?
no. I'm saying all this in quotes. You can't see me, but
Oh,
um, I'm sorry. No, I don't. I think this is what they perceive, right? Like the elites. Only the people who are capable of understanding their occult language are worthy enough to survive this apocalypse and make it into their golden age. That's what they're doing.
huh.
Only
Interesting.
people who are initiated.
We have a question from the audience. Rua says, have you ever considered sharing your journey toward orthodoxy in a written reflection? The challenges you faced, the stories and teachings that touched your heart.
Yes, I'm actually. My spiritual father keeps telling me I should write it now because
Yeah,
I didn't want to when I first came into the church, but he says now is probably a better time.
you could probably, submit it to some online publication or something. They'd probably run it.
Yeah, if they could take care of it for me, that would be so much easier because I used to do everything by myself and it just burnt me out.
Yeah, there's multiple. I don't know. You'd have to choose one, but all right. So, Nick, I want to thank you for coming on to my show. You are way smarter than me and way cooler, but you're not so smart or so cool that you would say no to coming on my show.
No, no, I thought you were cooler than me.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll let the audience decide. So I want to thank you for coming on. This has been a great conversation. Um, Anything you want us to leave with you with? Where to follow you? What you promote? This is your chance to promote what you got. I left the link to your X in the description, but is there anything else you'd like to say?
Uh, Not really. No.
So follow his X, people. Just go. He's got a great account there. He's got voice. So go there, read some of his threads and his things, and I guess that's it then. Huh?
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so again, thank you everybody who watched, and we'll catch y'all next week. Next Saturday, I am interviewing Father Emmanuel Lemelson at 8 a.m. bright and early, 8 a.m. Pacific time next Saturday. So look for that one, and we'll catch you then. All right, good. Have a good day, everybody.